How are you?
I feel so weird with you up top.
Oh, I know. I know. It's freaking me out too, but I like it. I like it. I think it works
A
well.
nice little change, a
A
little
nice little
something.
change. Well, guys, if you're just joining us, it is Today in Travel, where we talk about all things in the travel industry. We have a short show today. It's a holiday week, so not a ton of news, but we just wanted to come to you live and talk about the things that are happening in the travel industry. I am Jason Poole. I am a travel advisor with Cruise Planners and love to talk about all things in the travel industry. And my travel guru, Miss Haley, introduce yourself and let us know how you are doing.
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Haley. I'm the owner of Hospitality with a Flair, which is a hotel sales support company. Been in hotels for almost 20 years now. Love traveling, going to Europe, cruising, especially with this guy here. And we're here every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If by some chance we're not, you'll see it in our group, which is todayintravel.live. So, Jason, what do we have on the news docket for today?
We're going to talk about Greece, especially Santorini and Mykonos. So, if you've ever sailed to Greece, especially in the summer, you know how Santorini and I think more so Mykonos can get packed, absolutely packed. The prime minister has come out and said it's getting out of control, that there's too many ships there, over tourism. Mykonos seems like it can handle more than Santorini, but Santorini also just has basically that one, I guess, two ways down: the steps with the donkeys or the airlift. Like that's it. Mykonos has a few more places you can dock, you can tender, a few more options, but it's getting a little out of control. I have been to Mykonos before and not been able to move.
My my feeling on this, I'm hoping it happens because first time, I mean, I've been to Europe, a lot, but my first Mediterranean cruise was last summer, and it was primarily Greek-ish Isles, started in Italy, ended in Greece.
Mhm.
And Mykonos, once I got to my spot, we did that beefcake beach
Yeah,
bar. Like,
yeah.
that was paradise. Like that was truly paradise. But getting off in Mykonos, so we had to tender. We were the furthest spot down, so then you either took a bus or a ferry into Mykonos town. And on your way there, you passed, I think there were 6 ships in port that day. Like it was insane. And it was kind of like hell on earth at first when you got into that Mykonos town area, everybody trying to get to their transports, get to their beach clubs. Like, I almost wanted to just go get back on the ship. That's how chaotic that area was. I'm glad I didn't because Beefcake Bar was just amazing in Mykonos, but like,
I have
whew,
had those days. So something they're talking about is limiting the number of ships or passengers that are there. Like I was there once with like Celebrity Beyond and Odyssey and one of the big Norwegian ships. So it was just a bunch of just larger ships there.
oh
They
yeah,
talked
that's
about
what it was. Like it was Enchanted Princess, The
right,
Beyond was there,
right,
um,
right.
Virgin Voyages was there. I mean, I know they're not
Oh, yeah,
huge,
Virgin,
but
yeah, Virgin.
still
Yeah,
like good
it was a
size. There
lot.
was the NCL ship, like
They've talked about raising the prices to visit the port, almost having like a bidding system. So the companies that will be willing to pay the most can go visit. So that could mean some of those itineraries could be increased. But I'm hoping that the cruise lines start embracing like I've been to like Naxos, Paros, like I've been to some of these
Paris.
smaller Greek isles. Huh?
I said Paris is beautiful.
Oh, I'll be honest, some of these are, I think, even prettier than those. The issue is some of them are so small. Ships like Enchanted Princess, Norwegian
Beyond, and
Rima,
yeah.
they can't really get there. But I'd like to see some of those smaller places build up the infrastructure for us to visit some of the less visited Greek isles, because they're just as beautiful, if not more so, in some of the cases.
Well, especially with travel becoming more and more accessible,
Right.
we're seeing more of these over tourism bills kind of come into place.
Right. Well, if you're still going to Greece, so now I know we're talking about over tourism, but let's say you're still going to Greece. Um, Resort for a Day is a great company that I have used for many years. I book it for my clients all the time. They're great for you're in the Caribbean, you don't know what you're gonna do for a day. You can book a resort for a day pass and go visit, you know, many resorts for the day. They are expanding into Greece to a bunch of Greek islands, including Mykonos, Santorini, and others. So if you are in those islands and you're wondering, what should I do for the day? Check out Resort for a Day, reach out to your travel advisor. That could be a great option.
It's really not a terrible idea because I will tell you, searching beach clubs for Mykonos
Yes,
Day was not the easiest feat.
I
It's
remember
not
us
that there
talking.
isn't websites and stuff, but it's just like it's reaching out, seeing if there's availability. Because I mean, one thing I will say, I find with Europe, a lot of the website infrastructure for smaller businesses, restaurants, or whatnot is just not on the same playing field as here in the
I agree.
States.
Yep,
So getting response back, checking availability is a bit of a struggle. So I think that would be a nice addition
I
into.
I agree completely. So we have talked a lot about the different hotel companies and their different strategies. Some hotel brands are just building, building, building. Some are in an acquisition mode. Hyatt, we've talked about, is very much seems like they're in an acquisition mode. They are just buying up. They bought
Yeah,
up
they're
the
kind of following suit with Marriott.
right, and so like they bought the Mr. and Mrs. Smith collections. They just bought all of the Dream hotels, I believe. They're just not to even mention the all inclusive collection, the secrets, all that stuff. Well, there's a German lifestyle brand, and I'll be honest, I didn't really know this brand. It's called Me and All Hotels, but they look really cute, really nice, and they're going to keep that brand name and have it be like another brand in like the lifestyle collection.
Well, I mean, I think we're just going to continue to see the increase of these kinds of acquisitions because it is getting harder and harder for independent boutique properties to fight and compete with this. So if you get a property that can maintain its unique identity, which is, we've talked about this in another show, and I'm like, we're going to see hotels continue with this boutique. It's like brand light, is what I call it. So they're not, cookie cutter Hampton Inn and Suites. They still have their own identity, their own thing, but just getting on that big brand.com GDS is invaluable at this point. The reach
I
that
agree.
these big brands have, the marketing, etc., this is just going to be a continued trend going forward.
No, I agree. And like I've had a couple different Hyatt properties, like a Thompson. I know a Thompson is a Hyatt, but it doesn't feel like you're just like it feels like you're like at a really nice modern kind of boutique property. So I think this is great. I think it's cool. They're keeping the name. They're just adding it to their lifestyle portfolio. So we'll have, but
Yeah.
I used to all be about like the boutique hotels when I would go to Europe, and you have made me turn into, you got to get the point. You got
I've
to get the
turned
look.
turned you into a monster, I know.
You have turned me into. I used to love a Hyatt place, Haley. Loved it. Loved it. Now it's like, oh, it's not full service. Oh, I can't even think about going there now. So,
I
uh,
know I'm having that struggle with our Hawaii trip because I have enough points for a Hyatt Regency, but then I could save a ton of points with a Hyatt place that's just, 2 blocks back from the beach. But then I'm like,
and then I get it. I
struggle.
well, actually, perfect segue into Hawaii.
Oh, I didn't even intend that. Didn't even
Perfect
intend.
segue. So we have talked a lot about Hawaii. Hawaii almost seems to have like this like dual forces. We see this in like Venice, we see this in Florence,
Barcelona too.
Barcelona, kind of that like we need tourism. That's our major source of revenue and our export. We don't export anything else. We need tourism. And the too many people are destroying the local life, local culture, right? We've had these debates about Venice, even Amsterdam with moving the cruise terminal, said
Mhm.
Barcelona. Hawaii is one of those as well, right? Hawaii is unique that you know it's beautiful. It's not that big. They can't take as many people as often want to go there, and it's an easy destination for Americans. Obviously, it's a state. You don't need a passport. It's an easy place for
100%.
Americans to go. So the governor signed a new law about regenerative tourism. Now, I'll be honest, this law appears to have like no real teeth to it. It doesn't have like an enforcement mechanism with it. They're hoping it lays the groundwork for more sustainability, like ecotourism, protecting the reefs, protecting the water. So I could see a day where, they start to restrict some tourism, but it's a difficult situation because it's not a country. Like you can't restrict the number of people who travel to a state, like that's like a
Yeah.
right Americans have. I guess you could always reduce the number of flights, to the island, but it, I'm sensitive to protecting the beauty of the islands, but I'm also aware that without tourism, they have not a lot.
Yeah, outside tourism and government, military, not as much there. And I think one of the big things they did that's not included in this bill that we've mentioned before is they're restricting, is it starting next year or the year after, the Airbnb situation.
Oh, right.
I think that is first off going to be a major step because there is as beautiful as places to visit that, and I mean we can all argue on the basis of which it was found, created, not what this show's for. But there's, part of that rage in here is, people that are local and native to the Hawaiian Islands can't afford to live there. And this increase with Airbnbs, VRBOs. So I think this law that's going into effect where you can't own properties like that in Hawaii. And I forget, I know there's some loose guidelines in there, but I think that's a step in that direction because, Hawaii knows how many hotel keys it has.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to keep track of how many more keys there are when you think about the vacation rental market.
So we didn't put it in the show notes, but Barcelona is doing this in either 26 or 27. They're trying to
Hmm.
limit the number of vacation rentals in Barcelona.
Local people can't afford to live there,
Right.
of
Right.
whom it's intended, like, yes, it's
Right.
great and whatnot. And I mean, in Oahu, for example, like that is a lot of people in a very tight spot. And then there's also just the foolishness of people being foolish on their
Right.
trips and going places they're not supposed to, doing it for the gram or
Yep.
likes and video watches, and it's a whole thing. But I think the Airbnb piece is a step in that direction.
No, I agree. I agree. Well, we haven't really talked about it. Well, we buried it to the end as far as the tip. The hurricane, unfortunately, there's a big storm
A
raging the
big
Caribbean.
monster brewing down there.
So it's one of the earliest like major hurricanes. I think it hit Category 5 last night or this morning. I mean, it's
It
it's a
did. Last night I saw it right before I went to bed.
it's a major storm. A few people have already passed away. Unfortunately, it's just tragic, tragic, tragic. As a travel advisor, I'm asked all the time, what do I do about cruising during a hurricane? And there's a couple different factors.
Step one is always travel insurance.
Yeah, you guys, you just got to have it, right? You have to have the travel insurance, right? First thing, the cruise line is never going to put you or their billion-dollar ship at risk. Okay, they're just not going to do it.
And
Okay.
I always kind of feel like it's almost more beneficial if you're going to go to the Caribbean in the summer to do a cruise because they find you the alternative.
Right. I mean, I have been in the Caribbean during hurricanes, and we just like went around it. Hate to say it, it was like the best weather I've ever had. Like there was like low humidity, but the low pressure front moved in. So they're not sticking to the itinerary come hell or high water. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing, if it's going to hit the day you're supposed to board, they're either going to cancel the sailing, give you your money back, or future cruise credit. They'll board late. Like they're going to give you options. Now, you have to be flexible. Your itinerary could change. Okay. Luckily, if you have booked an excursion either with the cruise line or through any reputable third party vendor that, I recommend, Haley recommends, they're gonna give you a refund. They're totally gonna work with you because they want you to return and give them business again
Yeah.
next
And
time.
I mean, I think the plus to throw in here, not to obviously give you a little boost here, but like this is also where the benefit of having a good, reputable, we'll use that word again, travel advisor on your side that can make those calls and do that for you. Because the last thing you want to do when you're already stressed out about like not being able to go on your trip, like you had already taken the time off from work, figure out have somebody that doesn't a cost you money
Right.
do all the work
Right.
and b
No,
give
I mean,
yourself a little peace of mind. I mean, I had friends that for their honeymoon they were flying down to Disney. They were September married, so still hurricane season. Hurricane was blowing up through, and they just took their flights, changed it, and they went to Disneyland, California.
easy. No, I do that kind of stuff all the time. I do it all the time. Change transfer time, ship running late, do it all the time. So our thoughts and our well wishes are with everybody down in the Caribbean in the path. And if you're on a cruise and you don't get to go to your port, I would just say, you're still on vacation on a beautiful ship. It's there are worse places, worse places.
100%.
So, well, guys, it was a short show today. I hope everybody has a great 4th of July. Please be careful if you're traveling. Leave a little extra
Don't shoot your
time.
fingers off, please, people.
Yeah, I love those memes. It's like there are people who don't realize this is their last weekend with all 10 fingers. So if you're flying, leave plenty of time. If you're on the road, leave early, early, early. It's going to be a crazy, crazy holiday weekend. Haley, happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th. See you guys next week.
Bye bye.
All right, bye.